Hello, let's start now another video from the course Computer Arithmetic for Complex Networks, Chapter 5, Complex Networks. In this chapter, I'd like to give you, students, some basic concepts of complex networks. And when you are going to put together all knowledge of computer arithmetic, I hope that you can see how it's possible to see that an error from of some computations that can be performed for solve some computer simulation of a complex network can propagate through the complex networks. So our basic idea is to put together these two topics, right? So a social systems is a typical example of what is known today as a complex systems. So you can see here as some basic social structure that people they are going to see together. So it's quite common to see many people relating in social like Facebook or any other social network that in this way they are made complex systems, right? The study of complex systems is a new science, and some commonly accepted formal definition of a complex systems is still missing. A complex system is a system made by a large number of single units, individual components or agents interacting in such a way that the behavior of the system is not a simple combination of the behaviors of the single units. Some collective behaviors emerge without the need for any central control. Over the years, the main focus of scientific research has been on the characteristics of the individual components of a complex systems and to understand the details of interactions. On the other hand, it was quite less explored. It was what? The structure of these interactions. This has been much less studied and among this structure among the units of a complex systems. Which units connect to each others and how? The most representative built for complex systems it's probably the human brain. So here it's an example of some investigation by Dr. Peter Vertes from University of Cambridge. So there is an estimation of 100 billion neurons in a brain, each connected by synapses to several thousands of the neurons. Each node of a network represents a different brain region and is color-coded according to the large areas located. Pairs of nodes are linked in the activity of two regions is found to synchronize a lot of the time during a fMRI brain scan. So I'd like to invite you to take a look in this video one here, and also in the social network you can see another video too. So take your time, stop the video, take a look at the video one, the video two, and after that come back to this video, right? So okay, you can get these links of the videos from the PDF slide. Some substructures of a network propagate information faster than others. What also matters in a complex systems is the architecture of the network of interactions. It's precisely of these complex networks. Complex networks are all around of us. So let's think in a typical day of a person. Wake up, you use some energy that came from a power grid. You start to make some relationship with the family, so you have a social network. When you're going to take a shower, you make use the water distribution network. When you're going to work, you use the street network. If you take the underground, you are going to use the transportation network. When you are using the laptop, you make use, in fact, of a network of logic gates. When you are checking your emails, you can see an email communication network. And in the middle of the day, we meet a colleague, you are going to start or you're going to use a collaboration network. If you are research, you can get a citation of your paper, and what you have, a citation network. In the lunchtime, you are going to take a look on the news of the web. You are going to use the World Wide Web. And you can also have a look on online social network as a Facebook and others. When you are going to receive one phone call, you are make the use of a phone call of networks. If you are going to invitation to a lake, you are going to see there a food web network. Thoughts of a lake, you are going to make some association of words as a network of association. Book a flight to Prague for a conference, you're going to use transportation systems. If you, in the end of the day, you are tired and you drive back home, so you can see some difference of your body. So there's a network of blood vessels, metabolic networks, and so on. At the night, in the evening, you're going to, during the dinner, to see the news about economics. So you are going probably to see commercial relationship. In the relaxing time, you can have a look in a movie, and you see an actor collaboration network. When you are going to bed, you are going to think about the day using the most amazing networks, the brain network. So it's not so difficult to see why study complex network. So I hope that in the following slides, a couple of papers are going to testify the importance of network science. So this is one of very nice papers from Watts and Strogatz. So it calls Collective Dynamics of Small Networks, Small World Networks. It came from 1998, and last year it has around more than 4,000 citations in Google Scholar. It's a very breakthrough paper because up to that time, they usually think about networks as a random network, but these guys start to think some structure in this network, so it's quite important. And another paper from Barabas and Albert, they can see an emergence of scaling in random networks. So from Science 1999, it almost has almost 40,000 citation Google Scholar as well. So it's quite important paper. And if you'd like to see a very basic but very cited survey of this issue, you can have a look in the structure of and the function of complex networks from Mark Newman. I have an honor to make a course with Newman a couple of years ago when I started to investigate some complex networks. It's a very, very responsible and very respectable research in this area. Another paper, but it can give it to you some very basic information about complex networks, but with some topics about the dynamics. So it's a very dense paper with almost more than 130 pages, and it's quite useful as well. And a more recently paper, it's from 2018. It's a dynamic induced cascade failures in power grids. So from the perspective of electrical engineering, it's a very nice paper because you can see some effects that can be investigated in a power grid from the complex network perspective. So what's the importance of the topology? The Watts, Strogatz, and Barabas papers provide clear indications from different angles that the networks of real-world complex systems have no trivial structures and are very different from lattice or random graphs, which were instead the standard networks commonly used in all the current models of complex systems at that time. Some structure properties are universal, that is, are common to networks as diverse as those biological, social, and man-made systems. The structure of the network plays a major role in dynamics of complex systems and characterizes both the emergence and the properties of its collective behaviors. So here you can see some examples of datasets from our book, from Vitor Latora's book. So a list of real world complex networks that will be studied in this book. For each network, we report the chapter of the book. So you are not going to see all of that, but it's quite useful because you can download, you can have a look on this very basic. So Elisa's kindergarten is from friendships in the children. It's very basic, the chapter 1. It's not the well famous the actor collaboration networks, so co-acting in a film, chapter 2, and so on and so forth, right? So it's quite useful to see these papers, and I'm going to give some details about that. In the appendix of the books contains a detailed description of all the main graphs algorithm discussing the various chapters of the book, from those to find shortest path, components, or community structures in a graph, to those to generate random graphs or scale-free networks. All the algorithms are present in a C-like pseudocode format. Access to both most famous datasets of real-world networks and to the numerical algorithm to compute networks' properties and to construct networks. In this website, you can see there's some basic information about the book, and all the datasets and some C language can be downloaded from there, right? So when you're going to that web textbook, each code you have this basic structure of description, the name of the function, synopsis, description, and parameters, how to use. And examples of how to use, for example, here I'm going to produce a random Erdős random network from 1,000 nodes and 3,000 edges. You can just use like that, or you can put in this way here. So in this way, the result of this network is going to be recorded in a file .NET here, right? So, but you can also use, for those that is more familiar with MATLAB, for example, you can execute the C function, use the code system. So here you can just use system like that, and when you are going to put that, you are going to result in a vector as a result like that. It's important to realize for many use inside the MATLAB environment, you have to add the number 1 of these results. As in MATLAB, as you should know, the index of the vector starts from number 1, and in C can start from number 0. So you can use like that systems as well, and it's going to put in a file and use the command load. You can get those files, those results from the variable A. So here, this is the basic idea of this basic information, basic about complex networks. What I'm sure expect from the end of this video, you can visit the websites, watch the video that I have invited to you, and you can download the C files, the C code, and you can choose, of course, to use C or MATLAB to make the functions. In this course, you are going to use MATLAB, but it's free for you. You can do almost the same thing in C language as well. All right? So again, it was a nice pleasure to have your attention in this video, and I hope that we can give more details about complex networks in the next video. Thank you so much.